We know that paramedics are vital in providing life-saving treatment during an emergency, but do you know how the profession originated in the U.S.? One Twitter user claims the origins can be traced back to a group of black pioneers from Pittsburgh. But is that true? Let's verify. Our sources are University of Pittsburgh, the City of Pittsburgh, Senator John Hines History Center, Kevin Hazard, a former paramedic and author of American Sirens, and the CDC. Paramedics first became a profession in the 1960s. Before then, police officers, firefighters, and even funeral directors responded to emergencies, but offered little more than basic first aid. In 1966, a National Academy of Sciences report documented the lack of proper emergency medical care. One area that exemplified that lack of care was the Hill District, the largest black neighborhood in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. A former ambulance driver, Phil Hallen, teamed up with Dr. Peter Safar, an anesthesiologist known as the father of CPR, to create a private ambulance service to aid the residents in that neighborhood. 20 black men were recruited from the Hill District to start the first paramedic team, which would come to be known as the Freedom House Ambulance Service. At a city council meeting, Safar presented data showing that of the over 4,000 patients Freedom House paramedics transported in their first year, less than 2% died before arriving at the hospital, a vast improvement over previous methods. Kevin Hazard, a former paramedic who also wrote a book about the ambulance service, told Verified that other medical programs took notice and replicated the service, creating the paramedic services that we see today. So we can verify, yes, the first paramedics in the U.S. were black men. The CDC estimates there are now more than 200,000 professional emergency medical technicians and paramedics in the U.S. With your Verify, I'm Channing Curtis.
Black American freedom history we should know. Did you know that Black American men gave America its current EMT ambulance services? Now, prior to the 1960s, there was no standards whatsoever for medical emergency services in the U.S. People were typically transported to hospitals by police or funeral homes. Now, this would change as 25 black men began volunteering and working at a place called Freedom House in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. These black men implemented and completed a 32-week, 300-hour course that included CPR, first aid, and defensive driving. They started operations with just 2 vans in 1968, providing unheard of emergency medical care for patients en route to hospitals. The men's service and work was so superior that the city contracted the men to handle emergency transportation in the area, even as they were being requested more frequently by callers over the police. Their first year alone, these black men responded to almost 6,000 calls and transported more than 4,600 patients with less than a 10-minute response time. Of course, they still face racism from white hospital staff, patients, and even some city government officials, but that did not stop the impact of their work or their work and trainings from being adopted by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration as the official ambulance standard for the U.S. This is what you see now.